We're going to head back out to Ken with more on 5 sports cliches and phrases. Unlimited.
That is absolutely right. Watching the Hornets women's volleyball team get ready to go. And we want to talk about sports cliches, because I'm always thinking about what's happening with sports. And so as they get set to kick off the Hornet Invitational, you're probably going to hear some sports cliches coming up this weekend. Let's talk about 5 of them and where they come from. First one is probably one that you've heard of, and it's consistent with what you think it is. It's called hat in the ring, or throw your hat in the ring. So back a long time ago when boxing matches were kind of quasi-legal, if you wanted to get involved in that, you had to actually physically take your hat off and throw it into the ring. They would recognize you as being a competitor. They would stop everything, bring you into the ring, and you better guard your grill and knuckle up, because now you are fighting. Number 2, kind of sticking with that theme of being in the fight, throwing in the towel. So throwing in the towel was something that the cornerman would do if their fighter was taking too much punishment. They would wave that white towel, throw it in. That meant that they were giving up. Same thing worked with us in like general conversation in life. Say you're throwing in the towel means that you're just giving up. All right. Number 3, something coming out of left field. So usually when something comes out of left field, you're like, that doesn't make any sense. That's not logical. That's a far out idea. Well, that comes from baseball, because in the majority of Major League Baseball stadiums, the deepest part is left field. Well, some of them it's center, but for left field is always kind of deep for a lot of places. So they say if you're coming from left field, you're coming from way out there with that idea. That's where that sports cliche comes from. You're welcome. Number 4, back to square one. So we heard go back to square one means start all over again.
Right.
Yeah.
So this came in England when they were putting soccer on radio back in the 1920s. So they thought that people would not be able to follow what they were talking about. So they kind of diagrammed the soccer pitch in squares. And so square one is back toward the corner by the goalie, and that's where usually all the plays start, or inbound will happen near that area. So when they say back to square one, that means back to the beginning of that offensive set, or back to the beginning of what you are doing.
Makes sense. Okay.
You're welcome. And also, right, that looks a little bit of sense. And then the last one would be hat trick, okay? So hat trick comes from cricket. There was a player who had a great cricket match, right? He had 3 wickets, I think they're called. Something like that, right? So after the 3rd one, the crowd took up a collection to buy him a hat. He didn't have a hat. So after that 3rd one, they passed around a little thing to get him money, and then they buy him a hat, and then that's where they call it a hat trick, because he had 3 in a row, and they rewarded him. There you go. That's 5 really interesting sports cliches we've been using for I don't know how long. Now you know where they came from.
Yeah.
There you go for your water cooler conversation. Want to find out more? Go to gooddaysacramento.com, click on show info for today's date, and man up for knowing what you're talking about when you're talking sports cliches. Good Day continues after this.